Do you guys remember the content we did a few weeks ago about Right Now Media? Yeah. Well, it turns out I found myself at my brother's house in Pennsylvania. I was there for a Rangers game. They were playing the Penguins, and it turned out that my brother's wife has access to Right Now Media through I think through her school that she used to go to. I don't remember exactly how she had access to it. They're not paying for it. But my brother had a surprise for me. How many of you guys remember this? Unreal, man. This brings back so many memories. Some of you might already know what this is. This is the show McGee and Me. Man, when I was a kid living in Windsor, Connecticut, we had a church that we went to, a Methodist church is where I grew up in, and they had a pretty decently sized library, and they stocked the McGee and Me book videos in the library, and we used to rent those little tapes out all the time. And we didn't have them all, but we saw a good portion of them. There were a few that we hadn't seen, but I remember this intro right here, man. I thought this was the coolest thing ever. I thought Nick, he's the main character, was like the coolest kid ever. He was an artist. He could draw well. It made me want to learn how to draw well, which I never actually ended up doing. I don't know, man. When I was a kid, I grew up thinking that when I was older, my room would look like this. It'd have these contraptions. There's Nick drawing McGee. That part right there, that part where he's coloring in the hands, I don't know what it is, but when I was a kid, that was so satisfying just to watch him color in the hands. You know what? I got to see that again. I just want you to see this. When young AD used to love this. Look how he colors in the hands. So precision there. I love it. What a rockin' song. And when I was a kid, I didn't really get this, but and I have a few fan theories about McGee and Me. We're going to go into them right now. But when I was a kid, I thought McGee really came to life, like he was a real character and all of that. When you watch the series as an adult, though, there's a number of hints that this is all in his imagination. Like it's not like a world where I guess cartoons can come to life. Like, Nick is actually a crazy person, maybe a schizophrenic. And in fact, there's and McGee, if you think about McGee as an adult, when you look back on the show as an adult, McGee gives terrible advice. It's like the cartoons, remember in the cartoons when, like the Bugs Bunny would have a decision to make. And on one side, he'd have the Bugs Bunny angel, and on the other side, he'd have the Bugs Bunny devil, and they would kind of fight it out to see what he would do. It's like that, except McGee is just the demon side. Like, I have a theory, and I'm not going to go into this part of the theory in this video, but I think that Nick, I think that McGee is sort of like the devil version of Nick. And Nick is like, it's like his sin nature almost. I think McGee represents Nick and his sin nature, like in his flesh. And when you look back on the show, I mean, I dare you to watch some of these episodes. Like, McGee he gives awful advice, evil advice. It's not very good at all. Let's continue. This is the moment where Nick like loses his mind. Like, this guy's schizo a little bit. You can even see it. And there's a few scenes where he's arguing with McGee about something McGee's saying, and he closes the book, right? He closes his drawing book, and McGee is like, you look at, and he opens it again, and McGee's just a drawing, and he draws McGee like in a pout. So like you could tell they're in an argument. So like this whole argument is happening in his head, and he's drawing out what McGee would look like in this argument. It's kind of disturbing when you think about it, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I used to love this part too. When he goes like that with his hand, and like the McGee Me symbol comes out. I used to love that part. Look at this. All right. Oh, actually, this is a good one too. Let's watch this. I remember this part very distinctly. So I watched somebody else's content on McGee and Me recently, and he and I had a very similar thought. I always thought that this was McGee's dad or something because he was bigger. But it's obviously a robot. This robot never appears in the show, by the way. But it was so funny to hear somebody else that kind of obviously was similar to my age, and he had the same exact thought that I did. But anyway, that's the McGee and Me introduction. Now, the McGee and Me show, if you remember, it's a Christian show, of course, and it's not really that preachy. But they're all teaching lessons. You know, every show starts with a Bible verse, and like you're supposed to learn something about that verse during the show. But it's not that preachy. There's one or two episodes that are very preachy. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But this is one of my favorite episodes. Do you remember this one where they go sneak out into a movie, like a rated R movie?
It's getting dark. It's getting dark.
This is his friend Lewis. And here's my fan theory. I think that the show really is a story about Lewis more than it is about Nick. Lewis is not the main character, clearly. But I think that if you look at the character arc of Lewis, he's the one that actually ends up getting saved. Nick, I'm not so sure that Nick is even saved, to be honest. I know that might be shocking to you, but I think that Nick is he's really struggling. You know, he's definitely got some kind of mental illness, and he gives in to his sin nature just so much. And his friend Lewis here, it's weird because they become friends in the first episode. Lewis helps him to not get beat up in the very first episode. But he's kind of like a bully. Lewis is a bully in his own right. Like, he's friends with Nick, but he's constantly digging at him, constantly making fun of him. And even here, he's making fun of Nick's parents because Nick's parents say it's getting dark soon. They got to come inside, and it's like daylight. So, but watch this. This is the part where they decide to go to this movie.
I don't know, Nick. Cyborg's mom always makes him come in when it gets dark.
Oh, very funny.
Nick just blasted his friend, man.
Hey, check it out. Night of the Blood Freaks, Part 4. Starts tomorrow in 3D.
Night of the Blood
Kidding?
Freaks.
Remember last year in Twilight of the Blood Freaks when you got those guys at the campfire?
Nah, I didn't see it. My folks wouldn't let me.
Man, they don't let you do anything.
Hey, that was a year ago. I'm a lot older now, all right?
Have you seen the commercials?
Oh, this part left a memory on me that I'll never forget.
First, there was
Dawn of the Blood Freaks.
Then Day of the Blood Freaks. Then Twilight. But now, as the shadows begin to fall, it's Night of the Blood Freaks!
The reason I remember that part because I was in the commercial for this episode. But in any case, they decide to go to this rated R movie called Night of the Blood Freaks, and he goes to the movie, and it's really gross. Like, it's like very gory, and you know, he starts like just kind of being grossed out, and when he leaves the movie, he comes home. Oh, and the whole point of this episode is he sneaks out of the house, right? He sneaks out of the house because his parents say he's not allowed to go to the movie. He gets mad. I think he says, "You're stupid," or something like that, and they ground him, and he sneaks out. So he goes to this movie, and he has a horrible time because it's, you know, it's disgusting and all that kind of stuff. And this is the thing, like, there was always, in my opinion, there's a lot of questionable, like, morality in this show. Because he gets home. This is the part where he gets home. Every one of these episodes has a montage scene like this. It's good stuff. It's classic 80s, 90s, good stuff right here. This stuff still holds up today. I gotta be honest. Got the slow motion. So he's obviously very disturbed by what he saw. All right, so he's about to come home, right? He's about to come home from sneaking out to watch this movie, this rated R movie. And you would think that his parents, well, let's just watch it. Let me show you what the parents say.
You stick it in your mind. It's gonna stay right there in your heart.
This is mom and dad. Classic white parents, you know? I know nothing about this. I would have got the chancleta, if you know what I mean.
Nicholas,
A lot of you probably don't know what I mean.
come in here.
So he gets home and his parents are waiting for him. They obviously know he left. He came up with this elaborate scheme where he had like a robot, kind of like a Home Alone type thing, where they knock on the door and he goes, "Come back later, I'm drawing." But they obviously find out.
Did you go to the movies?
Yes, sir.
Did you enjoy yourself?
No, but it was awful.
Do you realize what you've done?
Okay, so she says, "Do you realize what you've done?" And what you expect is for her to say, You snuck out of the house. You broke our confidence. We told you specifically you cannot go to this movie, and we grounded you. And then you not only did you go to the movie, but you left the house when we told you not to do it. And then you came up with this elaborate scam with the robot and things like that. Like this is a breach of trust, the likes of which is unbelievable. That's what you expect her to say.
Sit down, Nick.
Do you realize what you've done? She doesn't say that. Newsflash.
When your mother and I told you you couldn't go, it was for a purpose.
We were trying to protect you.
Your mind is the most important thing you have.
This is all true. Like, it's very important to protect your mind from seeing disgusting, pornographic things. It's all true. But the real issue here, at least the first issue, has to be addressed. We told you not to go. You went. We grounded you. You snuck out. You came with an elaborate scheme to scheme your parents. Like, this is so out of bounds. It's unbelievable. Yes, you poisoned your mind also. I hate to say it, but like, the more immediate concern right now is the fact that you completely have no respect for the word of your father. By the way, it would be one thing if they kind of, when they told him he couldn't go to the movie, that they explained to him about, you know, sort of the problems with filling your head with garbage. They do mention it, but they focus more on, do it because I said so.
No way.
See?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
But Dad!
Honey, we don't want you filling your mind with that kind of garbage. You know that.
But Mom! I told you! Shut up!
Nicholas.
Well, why am I always the one that can't
He
do
didn't call him
anything?
stupid. He said,
Nicholas.
shut up.
Can't do this, can't do that.
One more word out of you, young man.
It's not fair. Everybody else gets to go see it, but I have to sit around with a bunch of
Nicholas.
That's it. Now, you don't talk that way in this home. Go to your room. You're grounded.
McGee made him say it. I know it. I know it. So that's basically it. And so they don't explain the whole thing about the images that they're gonna poison you, make you feel bad. They don't say any of that. They just say, you know, we don't want you filling your head with garbage. Go to your room because I said so. And it's like, look, that should be enough. Like, listen, if you're a kid and your father says don't do something, and you know, and you're under his roof, you're under his rules, that should be enough. They don't need to explain themselves. But I think it would have been helpful here, like with yesterday's video about the pornos. Like yes, you should say, you know, don't watch pornos to your kids. But I think it would be helpful to explain some of the reasoning there, how you're going to enslave yourself to not only to sin, but also to people who want nothing better than for you to be obsessed with pornos for the rest of your life, and it ruins your relationships and all this stuff. Like, I think it's helpful to explain, and you know, but they don't do that. They don't do that. And then when later when they revisit the situation, they don't even mention the fact that he totally broke their confidence and did a horrible thing. All they focus on is the poison of the movie, which again, that's true. That's not really what they said.
The Lord is very clear when he says we have to be careful what we put in it. Now, whether
This
you enjoy...
basically This is a very serious situation, and they turned it into an anti-rated R movie thing, which it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so there's questionable morality in this. He ends up getting spanked or something. You don't see that, but they strongly hint at it because he says at one point, he says, we'll talk about your punishment later. That's what the father says. And then Nick's like, you might say we did more than talk about my punishment. He even says it just like that. Anyway, but yeah, let's go back to Lewis, his friend. This guy Lewis, he's his friend, but he's like a kind of a mean friend. Like he's constantly taking digs at Nick. Here's an example.
Later. Phil.
Nick's challenging this guy to a skating race, so he'll leave this one kid alone. And here's what his friend says.
Hamburger.
Bad news, Nick.
Do you know what you're doing?
Sure I do. I can beat him.
No way. I've seen you skate. Derek won 3rd place last year in the Tri-City Finals. He'll smear you.
He'll smear you. He's very discouraging like that. Like Nick's, he needs a little confidence. He needs a little attaboy. And he's like, he'll smear you. He constantly makes fun of him. Here's another example. And this is one of my favorite episodes. This is my favorite episode, Twister and Shout. And this is where everything comes to a head, by the way. This is the thing. This is why I think this show's about Lewis more than it's about Nick.
Sometimes a sudden thunderstorm can be really scary.
He's home alone with his sister. His sister's babysitting, and Lewis came over, and that other girl came over. That and so there's going to be a tornado apparently. So they're home alone.
They'd probably appreciate a couple of men like us around. Hey, wait up!
Look at that! Wow! That's neat.
What is your major malfunction?
Nothing. I heard the thunder and I thought you guys might be scared or something.
Scared? Nah, Nick. We're used to your face by now.
Good one.
You see this? So, like in front of the girl, and I think the girl likes Nick. And it's like he in front of people, and that's the thing. That's the other thing about this guy Lewis. It's like he doesn't insult Nick when they're alone. Like in that scene where they're saying the Night of the Blood Freaks, those are just two friends, Night of the Blood. They're just goofing off. But whenever there's some people around, I'm telling you, watch this series. Whenever there's people around, Lewis is so mean to Nick, taking digs at him. You're ugly. Here's another one. All right, hold on. That's not another one. Hold on. All right, check this out.
Might win. Somebody's got to win. Even if you did win, Mom wouldn't let you go, and I'm not dragging you to some dumb concert. Listen, I wouldn't go with you if you were the last person on Earth.
Look at this, by the way, as well. This is something else I noticed. Look at Lewis kind of like sidling up to his sister here. This is I think this is intentional. Look, this is a kid's show. I get it. I think this is intentional. Look how close he is to his sister. So not only is he taking digs at Nick constantly, and in fact, there's a few others that I got to find in this where Nick discovers that the basement's flooded, and he makes another dig at him and stuff like that. So not only is he taking digs at him constantly in front of people, including a girl that I think he likes, he's also trying to get with his sister. And I kid you not, I do not think this is an accident. Look how close he is. Look where his head's at. This is not an accident, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
A tornado watch has been issued for Eastfield.
Here's where they find out the
counties
tornado's
until
coming.
Midnight tonight. Conditions are favorable for the formation of a tornado. The National Weather Service urges residents in these areas to seek shelter and be on the alert for high winds and
very
flash
scary.
flooding. And now back to tonight's feature, Gone with the Wind.
I don't like the way he said that. Let's watch something else.
The sister's solution to the tornado watch is to change the channel. She does that twice in this episode too. Oh man, let me find the other. By the way, look, now he's really close to the other girl, which I don't think this is intentional.
Ashton counties until 2 a.m. Several reported sightings have been verified.
Look, he's like right next to her.
Shelter immediately. Stay tuned for further developments.
He might even be holding her hand or
with our
shoulder.
Friday night $1 million movie, Summer Breeze.
What is it with this wind thing?
Let's change the channel.
We're history.
Aren't we supposed to go down
Watch
to
this.
the
Watch this.
basement?
Great idea. I checked it. It's flooded.
Anywhere you are, it's gonna be flooded.
We'll be okay.
What does that even mean? Anywhere you are, it's gonna be flooded. There's just like his insults even make no sense. But seriously, here's the thing. So he was like right in her lap essentially. Now he's like kind of next to this girl, and it's I think it's intentional. I really do. Anyway, so let's continue. So they have the whole, montage where they start working together. At one point, a tree limb comes through the window, and during a tornado, you're supposed to be away from the window so nothing can hit you. But they go right to it. They do the exact opposite thing you're supposed to do. Again, there's some questionable in this show. But anyway, so they all end up working together, and I think Nick at some point, like, he preaches the gospel, or he talks about how you should not be afraid because God's with you. And Lewis said, they ask Lewis about the Lord, and Lewis says, "Oh, I never really thought about it." And you could tell Lewis is very like conflicted and all this kind of stuff because he's been here, and this is my theory. Lewis has been sidling up to Nick this entire time. And it's clear that he's really not that into Nick. Like, he doesn't really think he's a cool guy. He doesn't want to be friends with him. In this episode, I think it makes it very clear that Lewis is using Nick. I know this sounds crazy. He's using Nick to get to his sister and to get to this other girl. And I think he's really trying. He's really trying to get with these girls. And then he hears the gospel, and Lewis is a changed man. And I've got proof. First of all, I want you to watch this montage of them all working together. This is after they start trusting the Lord. And look at this. I know you think this is a small thing, but it's not. It's not. This entire time, every scene up until now, this is episode 5. So in 4 episodes and this episode, before this moment, every time they're in front of people, Lewis is taking digs at Nick. He's just bringing Nick down, and I think he does it to elevate himself. He wants himself to look good, especially in front of girls. And then in this episode, you see him basically in her lap and then touching this other girl, and then he gets scared out of his mind from the power of God, the twister, the whirlwind. God sends this whirlwind. He strikes the fear of God in Lewis. I kid you not. I really think this is what's happening. He hears the gospel, and now he's a good dude. Check this out. He's shaking hands with Nick, man. Good, giving him he's dapping him up in front of the girls. He would never have done this in episodes 1 through 4 and the beginning of this episode. But here's the moment. This is the moment when you know he's turning from his wicked ways. He came to this sleepover in order to get with these girls. And now watch this. They're all sleeping together because they're scared. Look how he turns. Do you see that? He turned from his sin. I want you to see this. The whole purpose of him being here, he doesn't even like Nick. He doesn't even like Nick. That's very clear through episodes 1 through 4. I dare you to watch these episodes and think he likes Nick. He doesn't. He's using Nick to get to the girls. And now he has his opportunity. It's dark. There's no lights. Everyone's scared. And watch this. Watch him turn from his sin. They're all sleeping together. They're scared. This is the opportunity. When you're a creep, a predator, this is your chance. There's the girl. He turns. Look at that. Look at the way the camera panned. You cannot tell me that was not intentional. Okay. Now you're thinking, AD, you're crazy. You're totally crazy. And I understand you might think it because maybe you haven't seen these episodes. Episodes 1 through 4, Lewis is a horrible person. Episode 5, the first half, he's a horrible person, making fun of Nick. It doesn't even make sense to what he's saying, all because he's trying to get with these girls. Now, episode 6, okay, this is the very next episode after Lewis gets saved. So it's called Back to the Drawing Board. There's a new kid in school who's also an artist. He's also an artist, and now all of a sudden, Nick is very self-conscious because he just draws this McGee demon guy. And this kid comes in, and he has these awesome drawings of a robot. Well, I want you to see this. He's very self-conscious right now. This is the new kid. Oh, man, this guy's the coolest kid around. Look at him. Look how cool he is.
Hi, I'm Nick Martin. I saw you drawing back in class.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what were you drawing?
Oh, yeah. Cool. Look how cool this drawing is. I mean, this is a robot that has a wheel, and he looks powerful. McGee's like he's a pipsqueak compared to this guy, right? And now notice, Lewis is with him, and they're in front of people, and there's a new cool kid in school. This guy's way cooler than Nick, there's no question. Look at his sweater. Look at he's got 2 watches on. This guy's like Adam Banks. Who wouldn't want to be friends with Adam Banks? You know what I mean? He obviously has a lot of money, too. I mean, this is a high-quality art pad. He also had high-quality markers. You didn't see that part, but he had a whole thing of markers, like 100 markers. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I'd get the 8-packs. You know, I'd get the 8-pack of markers, and I would always envy the kids that had 100 markers. This guy had 100 markers, and he brings them to school with his trapper keeper and everything. This is a perfect opportunity for Louis the Jerk to take a dig at Nick. The perfect opportunity. This is what he would do in episode 1 through 4. He's got a cooler kid. He can insult McGee right now. All Nick can draw is stupid McGee. That's what the old Louis would say. But the old Louis is gone. He got saved. And now we've got a new man. This is new Louis. I want you to hear. This is proof. Ironclad proof that Louis got saved in the Twister and Shout episode.
Does he open up with like lasers and blasters and stuff inside?
Oh, sure. He's fully three-dimensional. They call him Jawbreaker. Interesting.
Nick can draw too. Show him, Nick.
Oh, sure.
See? That's McGee.
Okay, so clearly, Louis is like, oh, he wants the new kid to feel welcome. Oh, that's a really cool drawing. Jawbreaker, that's cool. And he's totally sincere. Nick can draw too. Show him, Nick. That's McGee. And you could hear the excitement. McGee is awful. Like, look how stupid McGee is. Actually, let's just go back. I want you to hear the tone, okay? This is Louis. By the way, Louis looks a lot cooler too.
What were you drawing?
Cool. Does he open up with like lasers and blasters and stuff inside?
Oh,
Listen
sure.
to his voice.
He's fully three-dimensional.
Nick can draw too.
They call him Jawbreaker. Interesting.
Nick can draw too. Show him, Nick.
Oh, sure.
See? That's McGee.
McGee sucks. Let's just face it. He sucks. But Louis is like, see, that's McGee. Like he's a new man. Cute. The kid knows he sucks. Anyway, I really want you, if you watched McGee and Me, I want you to think it through and maybe watch it again. Maybe watch it with your kids. It's really fun. And I gotta say, after this, I think there's 6 more episodes in the entire show. Louis is a changed man. He is a nice guy. He's got his friends back. He's in his corner. It's very clear. Louis got saved. I'm sorry. And Twister and Shout, I want you to see the moment. If you've never seen the moment a person gets saved on TV, you're about to see it right here. This is the moment. Watch this. Watch how the camera pans so you see the whole transition. This is what repentance looks like. There's your sin, and you turn from your sin. Never to return to it again. Beautiful. Beautiful. I absolutely think this is the beautiful moment. I think that I've cracked the code here. This is the story of McGee and Me. It's about Louis. Louis, who was obsessed with women. He was a womanizer. And he was befriending this kid, Nick, just to get to the girls, just to get to his sister. This episode is where he was making his move. I mean, do I have to show you how his head was in her lap, essentially? Look at this.
Dragging you to some dumb concert.
Listen, I wouldn't go with you if you were the last person on Earth.
Look at him. He's making his move. He doesn't even like Nick at this point. Every episode, he insults him in front of people. He only is nice to him privately, just to kind of maintain the friendship enough. But he's here, and he wants this girl, his sister. And, just in case, here's the backup. He's making his move. God intervenes. I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to make fun. I really think this is what happened. God intervenes with a tornado to stop him from his sin. And then you get... Oh, by the way, this is the funny part where... This is the funny part. The tree comes through. The tornado blew a tree through the window, and they instantly are going to the window. Look, this is the opposite of what you need to do.
I'll get the branch out. Louis?
But then I want you to... you gotta see it. You gotta see the... Listen, God writes good stories, man. He could save someone through a tornado. I'm sure he saved many people through a tornado. Look at that. That's beautiful, man. Beautiful. I gotta say that when I realized what McGee and Me was really about, I just have a whole new appreciation for it. You can subscribe. The channel, I believe, is called McGee and Me. The first 6 episodes are there, so you don't get to see the rest of the story where Lewis is continually a good person after this. But you do get to see the lead up and the 1 episode after. And I wonder if that's why they shared the 6 episodes, so you know the whole story without sharing every single episode. Anyway, there's some good stuff here. The big lie, he claims to have gone into an Indian's house and something like that, and the Indian was like eating animals, but he really wasn't. Star in the Breaking, he gets on this this TV show, but he actually ends up really stinking at the TV show. Not So Great Escape, we talked about that one. Skate Expectations, we talked about that one. It's just good stuff, man. I hope you found this video entertaining, helpful, whatever. God bless.
Louis, there's some cardboard in the kitchen closet. See if that'll cover it. Renee, use the bucket to put under that leak.
And Sarah, sweep up all this glass.
Let's do it.
Never be alone. I hope the guy who wrote this song got paid, man. This song is good. I want to start a McGee and Me montage cover band. Be like a glam rock band. Awesome. You see, and this is the thing, like, you see Lewis here, he's really, like, this is a very serious moment for Lewis. Like, he just got saved, and he's thinking this through, and he's instantly tempted. Within the first few minutes of his faith, he has the opportunity of his dreams. He's there at a sleepover with the girl. It's dark, it's scary, everyone's there, and he's immediately tempted, and he turns. This is beautiful. This is beautiful, man. You know, another thing about this episode, too, again, this is for a predator, this was a dream. This little girl here, the one he turns from, she has father issues, because she mentions a story about how, you know, she would always be scared of noises in her house after her parents divorced. But when her father was there and in the house, she was never scared of the noises. And when she stays at his house, she's never scared of the noises. She has father issues. For a predator, that was a dream come true. And he doesn't do it. Look, he goes to her honorable. So serious, too. He's not joking. He's not insulting Nick. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, good stuff, man. Even the brother and sister relationship is a story. I'm gonna watch it again, man. Watch how he gets saved, bro. This is good stuff. Oh, you did it, brother. You did it, King. Oh, man. Oh, man. Beautiful. Beautiful moment. I'm not even joking, man. This is good stuff. A little bit joking, but this is good. This is good stuff. God bless.